Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to do another video today with some more photos from the Dole Plantation. This layout is going to show more of the plants and things like that they grow there aside from pineapple, and it should be really fun. And I'll also share with you the treats that we got at the end of our little tour. So it should be a cute layout. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope it's something that you'll be able to use. Let's check out my workspace and get started. All right, so this is my duty station, my workstation for today. Sorry, military habits die hard, right? This is my workstation for today, and these papers came from a collection of papers that CM put out a while back. It was just like a half pack of paper, but it was called Pineapples and Palms, and I remember snagging it and kind of going, oh, that's really cool because I love the pineapples, and it's not one of those like super bright, crazy looking prints. So I felt like this would be appropriate to use with these pictures because we have a lot of palms, trees, and of course these are monstera leaves, but still, I think that's a type of palm. Anyways, we're going to use these, and we're going to create a couple of things. We're going to create a frame for around the outside of each page. Then we're going to use the lighter paper to create the base that goes on top of the frame. And then we're going to talk about some different ways that we're going to mount photos. And this layout is going to have a lot of different pictures on it. A lot of pictures. I have cropped them down probably too small, but I just wanted to kind of be able to see all of them all at once so that we could kind of compare, contrast. Anyway, I didn't want to use peekaboo pockets on this particular layout, although maybe it would have been better. I don't know. We'll have to look at it later. Anyway, we're going to make a frame, and if those of you who have seen my channel before know how to do that, but just so I can talk you through it real quick, if you have the CM trimmer, then it's going to help you out a lot. And you need some of these cute little alligator clips. Sure, I can't get it off. There we go. And the alligator clips just help you start and stop your blade housing on the trimmer in the same place every single time. So if you have a trimmer that will allow you to do that, then that's great. I prefer the CM trimmer because it has this handy ruler right along the side of the channel that holds the blade housing. And I know that if I put this clip right here at the 0 mark, the left of the clip on the 0 mark, then my blade is going to stop at 1 inch. And I want to make a 1 inch frame that goes all the way around. So that's where I'm going to put my first clip. My second clip I want to put at the 12 inch mark right here. And that's because I want my blade housing to stop at 11 inches so that I can make a 1 inch frame all the way around. So when I line up my paper, I line it up using the top shoulder, and I use the 1 inch mark on the right hand side of the channel, or the right hand side of the trimmer. And I'm simply going to go from clip to clip and cut, and then rotate and do the same thing all over again. Line it up at the 1 inch mark, close it, cut from one clip to the other clip, rotate. And we're going to do this for both of our pieces of monstera leaf paper. And this is, if you've heard someone using the term gutting your paper, this is what this is. This is what they mean when they say to gut your paper. You're essentially cutting the center out of a larger piece of paper so that you can conserve paper and use this piece for something else. So I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. We're going to use this piece as a frame on one of our pages, and we're going to cut a second one so that both of the pages match. So bear with me while I cut another one. I probably could just eyeball this and be fairly accurate, and you don't have to worry about really anyone seeing your cuts. So you don't have to, you know, be super worried. But I just find it's a lot faster. I don't have to think about it. When I put the clips on like this, I can just do it and not worry about where my paper is, except for lining it up on the graph. So it becomes a no-brainer situation, or less of a brainer situation for me. So I like that part. All right, now our pineapple paper, we're going to cut down to 11 inches. So we're going to cut 1 inch off. I'm stacking my pages, so I only have to make one cut each direction. I'm going to cut 1 inch off here and just set that aside. We might use it on something else, who knows. I'm going to turn my paper once, line it up again at 1 inches. 1 inch, 1 inches, goodness, 1 inch. And we're going to cut 1 more inch off so that we have an 11-inch square. And then that way I have one for each side, and it can be framed just perfect, just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere these onto our pages. All right, so I'm adding my adhesive. I'm adding my adhesive right down the middle of this 1 inch area. You don't have to go right along the edge. You can if you want to, but you don't need to stress out about that. This is more of a speed thing for me, to just put it right down the center. I feel like I use less adhesive that way, and it doesn't take as long. It's not as tedious a process for me. Then I line up this corner that's in the center, the bottom center corner first, and then I line up the edge that goes along the bottom. I find that if I line those up, the center lines up right where it's supposed to be. I wind up with less buckling of my paper that way. And then when I go around the edge of these, I put about a 1/2 inch of adhesive every 2.5 inches or so. So it ends up being about 5 times down each side. And then you want to be sure that your pineapples are going the right direction, and I just center it right on top of our pretty green monstera leaf frame. That allows for a 1/2 inch on each side, and it frames it really, really nicely. Okay, so here we have that. Now, we're going to use some photos that I've already cropped, like I said before. And this is going to be a little bit of a trial and error situation, because I cropped these before I started taking into account how many I had and what the math needed to be. So, that being said, let's just see how many we can fit on here and whether we need to frame them or not. I think if I go ahead and put So these are all different plants that we saw while we were on our little train trip around the Dole Plantation. Notice how they all are labeled really nicely and look really pretty. Some of them prettier than others. That's okay. And I have these, which were kind of cool. I'm wondering, maybe what I ought to do is use my green paper and frame these, because I think they will be easier to see if I mount them on the green paper and then put the green paper on top, instead of, what do you think? I think I like them better on the green. I think they're easier to see, which is tends to be true that when you place a photo on a darker background, it shows up more easily and can be enjoyed a little bit easier than putting it on a lighter background. I don't know. You'd have to talk to someone who knows more about eyes and design than I do to know exactly why that is. But so we're going to, I think we're going to do that. We're going to mount these on here, and then that way I can sort of move them around how I want once I have them mounted. So bear with me a second. I'm going to go ahead and glue these on. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and trim around this. I'm going to give it about 1/4 of an inch of a border all the way around, and I'm going to actually start from just above my photos so that I can try and conserve a little bit of paper, given that I don't know what I might want to use the rest of this paper for. So we'll just set that aside. Now I've got that nicely framed up. I can move it wherever I want and wherever makes me happy. Okay, so let's check out the rest of our photos and see what we want to do with them and how we might want to arrange them. So I've got this other piece of my Monstera leaf paper, which we could just go ahead and add some photos to. Let's see how we might do that. Actually could do like that, and then leave a little bit of space. So you notice I have some that are a little bit taller. These are cut at 3 inches. These are cut at 2.5 inches square. And these are 3 inches wide and 3.5 inches tall. What I think, no, I think I like, no, I think I'm just going to go with that. We're going to leave all the palms and everything. We're going to go with that. And what I might do though is kind of swap these out. We swap those and put this one over here. Then we've got our open area up here, and I can put that here close to the center. Then I can do some other embellishing or other, we can do embellishing here. We could scoot this over just a little and do something down here, maybe something up here, and maybe do a title in the middle. What do we think about that? Maybe I ought to center this. If we're going to center this one, maybe I ought to center this one. All right, let me get these adhered and then we'll figure that out. Okay, so we've got all of those adhered, and I think I'm going to use this alternate side as a journal box, but let's do a little bit of trimming so that we can do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim my paper around my photos. And I'm going to do that by being careful and watching where my blade's going to start and moving it forward so that I can just cut the paper around my photos, just like I had planned it that way. It's definitely helpful to be able to know where your blade starts and stops. All right, so now I've got this cute little journal box I can use. I need to cut one more around this part. And then we are good to go there. So if we center this guy, then we can sort of tuck in a little bit of journaling up here at the top and do a little bit of a cluster of something off to the side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mount these on here. And I'm just keeping my my paper at the same distance, so about 1/4 of an inch on the leaf paper that these are mounted on. So I'm giving 1/4 of an inch of the pineapple paper around or along the base there. Not exactly centered, but I think it'll be okay, just the same. All right, and then this one is a bit easier to center because of the larger piece of paper. All right. So lots of pictures on here. I actually have a few more that I had wanted to include with this layout, and I'm not sure now exactly if I'm going to do that. I'd like to though, so let me see what I can figure out. Okay, so we've got our journal box over here. We'll do a little bit of a cluster of something there. We'll do a little cluster here, probably do a little cluster kind of up this way. Maybe I could do a 6x12 peekaboo pocket on this side to bring in some more photos, because I do have these photos that I have of the cocoa plantation that's there, and the reservoir, and us on the train, and our treats, which I told you I was going to tell you about. I got Dole Whip just in a cone because I just really like Dole Whip. My husband got Dole Whip in a cup, and they put fresh pineapple bits over the top. He said it was fantastic. I bet it was. It sounds so fresh and yummy for, you know, a warm summer's day that was last summer. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 photos, and this one actually could be cropped just a little bit to make that work. We could do a 6x12 peekaboo pocket, and thing is I did not really plan for the paper that would need to go in there, so that there's some matching paper. So let's see here. I do have this paper. It's a little bit, it would match the yellow flowers, so I guess we could use this. The back does not really match, but I could add just a piece of cardstock for the back. So let's see. What to do. Let's do some green for the back. This just happens to match because I was going to use it in a different layout. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to cut these at 6 inches so they'll fit into my peekaboo pocket. And then we'll trim some of these photos real quick so that I can add them to this layout. So I'm just going to set those pages aside to get them out of my work area for a minute. And we'll just do this really quick like. Okay, so 6 inches. I just stacked those papers on top of one another. We're going to do those just like that. We're going to cut this one into, let's do a 3.5 inch square so we can still see some of the paper around it, since it's just a sign. All right, so 3.5, half of 3.5 is going to be 1 3/4, so that's going to be our center mark. So put the sign in the center. There we go. This one I'm going to cut down to 5. And let's make it 3.5 by 5 so we can get most of the roof out of there. And we'll make this one 3.5 by 5 as well. 3.5. Let's cut the top here. 3.5. And I'm making these just a little bit smaller than, I mean, they would obviously fit right into the peekaboo pocket if I loaded them this way, but I'm making them a little bit smaller so that we can see the paper behind it. And because I have a vertical photo I'm trying to make space for. So these are actually 3 3/4 by 5. And then this one with our treats. I'm going to make that 5 inches. I may need to cut that back just a little. Let's see how we can get that to fit. All right, so I think I want to feature my husband and I more than the cocoa plants. Those can go on the back. So I think I'm going to kind of put these at a little bit of an angle, and we'll add the treats in the middle. And if I have to trim some, then I will trim some. But I think like that is what I want. So this is gonna go, it was a little bit off just like that. And this one was at an angle about like that. And this one was at an angle about like that. Okay. And then the cocoa, they had huge cacao fields along with all the other ones, which I thought was interesting. Well, actually not along with the cacao area was kind of set in a different zone than the rest. So that was kind of interesting. Set off to the side at a different area. And they did say that the cacao leaves were not really ready to be harvested, that they we're going to take some more time before they would be ready to produce, I guess, cocoa beans that could be harvested and roasted and made into chocolate. So, kind of interesting. I really don't know that whole process, so that's kind of different for me. They didn't really go into it, but I would presume that they're looking at making their own, which would be good. I doubt it would bring down the cost of any of the trinkets in the shop, though, that they had there. They had some fun, cute things, but everything, even the macadamia nuts, were designed with the tourist in mind. So they got their money's worth. All right, so we are going to fold this over like this, and it's going to go on the left-hand side, and this is going to go in here like so. So I always kind of fold over the part with the adhesive, so I know which side the adhesive is on. Then I can get what I'm putting in the peekaboo pocket put in going the right direction. Of course, it wouldn't take much to fix it if it was wrong, but now we've got cool treats. All right. The other thing I was going to do just really quick is make some pineapples. So this isn't going to take very long, I promise. I just have some regular, just straight scrapped paper, and I'm going to just punch 2 or 3 pineapples, and there we go. And then I'm going to punch the green part out of this plaid paper. So you just punch it a couple times, and then we're going to do some trimming and some adhering, and voila, we'll have some pineapples. Let me show you what I mean. So, I mean, I got the pineapple punch. We got to use the pineapple punch, guys, right? So I'm just going to take the green part that I cut, and I'm going to kind of cut it with a little bit of a curve. Okay, these can go away. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of repositionable adhesive on the yellow. And I'm going to add the green. So you could do this, you know, several different ways. You could probably add the green to the yellow, or add the yellow to the green. You can do like I'm doing and add the green to the yellow. You could, I'm offsetting mine just a little bit because it kind of accents the color a little. Kind of fun. But there's our little pineapples. Aren't they so cute? All right, so we got pineapples. We've got greenery. We've got stickers with flowers. Let's say going tropical. How's that? And I could put an R in there and make it growing tropical. That'd be kind of fun, huh? All right, so I'm gonna put foam squares on our little title sticker. Going tropical. I'm just going to put that on the same kind of line with where I'm going to write. And I'm just going to pop these up with just one little foam square and just let them kind of float. So we're going to just sort of let those float, and then we've got one more that we can put on in another spot. I'm just going to wait and not take the other plastic part off till I decide what I'm doing here. Okay. We do have another palm tree sticker we could use, or we could use those other more realistic laser cut embellishments. Let's see what they look like again. So we're just looking for a little something we can sit down here and something we could sit kind of up here and over maybe just a little. So we've got these guys, but they might get kind of lost with the print behind them. I don't know. Looking at the monitor sometimes helps me to see what pops out. I guess they don't look too bad there, but they do get a little bit lost on the background. It's kind of a situation where I just hate to use them in a spot where they're not going to get noticed because they're just so cool. What if we just use the sticker that I peeled off? It's a little bit different green, but I think it would help it be noticed a little bit better. What if we do that? I'm just going to stick that right there. And then I'm going to stick this sand dollar up next to it. And maybe a little shell or a flower. Let's see. Maybe we should do a flower. I'll do a flower with green on it. I'll just kind of do like that. All right, and then what are we going to put up at the top? Maybe the sun. And a pineapple and another flower. So this is going to be here. We want to be able to see the embellishment without it interfering. We'll stick that there, and maybe I could use a blue flower, but we don't really have, well, we have blue in the we'll just use the other white one. We'll save the other one. Like that. All right, I think we're about done with this particular one. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one. There are a lot of photos on this, for sure, a lot of photos, but I really do like that I was able to get them all on here. Because they all interact with each other, and I think that I think I like the way it turned out, and I'm glad that I was able to get this put on here. It might have been probably more appropriate for it to come on this side, but with these photos over here on this side, it's just the way it worked out. So I'm gonna be happy with it and move on to the next one. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope this has been helpful and inspiring for you. And until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day now.